You know, my dad always said our society had it backwards. You know, the college professors get the big bucks and the preschool teachers, you know, scrape by. I think Betty just deserves, you know, $1 million a year for what she does.
I am Betty, and I've been teaching preschool for 51 years.
When she started her preschool, there was no such thing. It was a class. It wasn't a place to drop your kids off. And this was absolutely unheard of in the country, let alone in Walla Walla.
She's probably the best preschool teacher in the entire world.
Many people know I work at a preschool, but they might not know where I work. And so then I'll tell them, you know, I'm a teacher at Betty's. And they'll go, oh, we can always tell when a child comes from Betty's preschool.
My favorite thing at this school is Betty.
Well, I like everything about Betty's preschool, but primarily Betty. She is so warm and
she is a pillar of this community.
In this town, if you say, I go to Betty's, enough said, everybody knows.
It's the foundation. It's the first step in a journey of 1,000 steps, and she gets all those children off on the right step. It's just amazing.
I wanted to be a teacher ever since I was in kindergarten. I just think that people have in them a lot of times what they are going to be, and I think teaching chose me.
Really, self-confidence is probably the biggest thing. They're self-confident in the fact that they can write their name, that they can come into a new situation and make a friend. They feel good about themselves and know how to be a good citizen and a good friend to other children.
To have somebody who is not only teaching you that the basics, but also to believe in yourself, I think is just invaluable. It's incredible.
The overall theme, as my son has eloquently said, is to inspire and give confidence. And at that age, 4s and 5s aren't really the risk takers that you hope they will be. And by the time they leave here, they think they can.
If you go into a kindergarten room and ask the kids, how many kids want to run a marathon with me this afternoon? Everybody's like, yeah, me, yeah. By the time they're in the 5th grade, they've been told you can't, you won't, so many times that they begin to believe it. Betty never does that. She just constantly encourages.
I don't think I'd be the person that I am today if it weren't for her.
Everything I've done in life is built off preschool.
Kids just, man, they come out of here just knowing they can conquer the world.
Confidence isn't something you can give somebody. It has to come from within, so you have to have successes to gain that confidence. So we're just trying to present the successes so that they can stack those up in their brain and say, hey, I can do this.
I really think that Betty recognizes that you can be very intelligent and academically inclined, but that there are things that are just as important as that, like civility, like having good manners, like being a good citizen.
Betty taught them to be nice. Betty expected them to be nice. And they started out wanting to be nice because they wanted Betty's approval, and they've grown up to be really nice kids because they knew they could be. They knew somebody cared that they were nice, and that's a pretty remarkable thing to do in the world.
You learn your first lessons here, like your moral lessons and the basics of learning, I guess. I learned how to write my name here. I learned how to make a crown out of paper. Yeah.
Push in your chair, wash your hands, wipe your feet, be nice to others, and sharing, that was a huge thing at Betty's.
We try to be helpful to people and to be kind to people and to be friendly to people. We say thank you and please and you're welcome.
I think one thing that stood out to me was just the way that the kids respect her. You know, they just respect her so much, and anything that Betty says goes. And Betty never has to raise her voice, and that's something very original, I think.
She, from an early age, she helped me build a structure of work and how I view others, and it's really helped me to improve today along the lines of studying and treating others fairly.
I think Betty taught my children a lot about being with other children and how to behave with other children.
She taught me how to play well with other people, which is important in everyday life.
You always hope that you meet a person who raises your game, makes you want to do better.
She taught me a lot about not just like learning, but like how to be compassionate and patient towards others. And
They just grow by leaps and bounds socially, playing with others, making friends.
She just taught me how to handle things and that you don't have to overreact about everything. That if you're calm and you just tell people how you're feeling, then your problems will be solved.
One person changing a community like that, it only takes one special individual with a design on what they think the world could be and engaging in possibility. And I think over the last nearly half a century of influencing people with civility, it makes a difference. It makes a difference, and that's what she's done.
I want them to know that the manners their parents teach them are going to hold at preschool as well. In the last 51 years of preschool, I have had about 3,000 children.
She taught us how to sew and make Native American headbands.
And now what were you doing?
We were making a stocking.
And she taught you to sew a different way, right?
Yeah. Because when we were doing the Native American headbands, we had to sew like up and down, then up and then down, and this one we have to sew just down. And we take it from the bottom, pull it up, and go back down.
Betty and her other teachers have influenced generations of kids in Walla Walla, and how Walla Walla is a great place to raise kids, and she's one of the key factors to that.
I think over and over again that she has influenced so many children and so many parents and families and helped them along their way as well.
She's special in a lot of ways, but I love that when you see her on the street, even years and years later, she still remembers your name and will just give you a big hug, and it's like you never left.
It's warm and fuzzy to see people every place I go.
And again, I know that she's had students from all across the years come back to her as adults and go, I learned stuff, I still remember, and it's benefited all of us.
You know, after you go to school here, Betty's just part of your family. You know, you got to remember, my brother went here, my older brother, I went here, my younger sister went here, and by the time you get 3 kids through here, she's just part of family.
And she's influenced a lot of teachers here in town and how they teach. And I know that the kindergarten, first and second grade teachers who've had kids who've come through Betty's, they appreciate the consistency.
How involved she is in our community and the schools, everyone. She's involved in everyone's life, and she's very important to everyone.
If you go to any organization that employs more than maybe 40 people, there's probably somebody there that has gone through Betty's preschool.
My favorite thing about my job is the children, and just they bring me lots of love, and I have a lot of love to give to them.
It's amazing to me that she's been doing this for 50 years, and people go, well, what did your mom used to do? Same thing she's doing now. She has 54-year-olds that visit her a couple times a week, and she teaches them valuable things.
I just do what I do, and every year I do it, and the years have rolled by, and of course I've met a lot of people along the way, and it is nice to have people smile when they see you.
You know, children that see her, that have had her, even if they're, 5 years old or 10 years old or 20 years old or even older than that,
are always excited to see her, and quite often, instead of just saying, "Oh, hi, Betty," it'll be, "Betty."
I love that Betty has not lost the energy or interest after all these years to teach the same way with the same enthusiasm and the same love.
We have one more on the way, so we keep her supplied with a steady stream of students.
I don't know when Betty's going to retire. I don't know that she ever will. I think Betty will always be Betty. She'll always be down here.
When the teenagers, and especially the teenage boys, are still, will still come up to me and give me a big hug, it's just really rewarding. It's wonderful.
I'm going to get emotional. When someone is able to slowly infuse themselves, that you can't extract their influence, that's a beautiful thing. And so Betty becomes part of a fabric, I think, of everybody who she touches, where you can't say it's one thing that she taught me how to color or she taught me how to read, but that she just becomes part of something you can't extricate and you can't specify. It's just a fabric that weaves itself in.
Betty teaches us a lot of stuff.
Like what? What does she teach you?
Like, we don't have any snack either.
When people say, "Oh, so Betty's your mom?" and I'll say, "Yeah, she is." It makes me stand up a little straighter.
She has touched so many, many, many lives.
I do feel, now I'll cry, respected. And that's a good feeling.
One day, after close to the end of the year, Betty asked if I would be interested in teaching here. And quite honestly, I've told her this before, I felt like I was nominated for the Academy Awards.
What has she taught you?
Thinking.
I wanted to be the best teacher ever. That was always my big goal.
I made a joke a couple of years ago that she wasn't going to retire until the first grandchild of a student had come through the school. And it's happening? Okay.
This year.
This year. Okay, does that mean you're retiring soon?